Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Brea. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, we are dealing with the aftermath of last episode. Obviously, Eve is feeling guilty about the whole situation that went down with Diana, but obviously, Mary Beth is trying to be practical about it from the perspective of she's only dead because she fired at us first. She took the first shot, but then Eve's understandable, considering she was trapped down here for 3 years, of course, and we were threatening to take away her one attempt at getting home, sure. But Eve wants to do something. She's at the very least, I can, but then Mary Beth is yeah, everyone else has kind of made up their mind. In her experience, is when people think you're the bad guy, you're stuck being a bad guy. There's very little wiggle room to kind of change anyone's mind. So, and it came down to it. I was okay, there's going to be some kind of punishment. I figured there'd be some law and order type of situation started. Right, we're going to have to. It's so initially it was just all right, we need to get the gun from Mary Beth. But then it was actually, how about Eve and Mary Beth leave? It's what? And lo and behold, who starts it? Lucas, especially because he tries to throw her under the bus. Oh, she's not. This ain't the first time she's ever killed someone. It's what? And Mary Beth's do not do this now. It's not like that. It wasn't even and it's and then everyone's voting about whether they should stay or they should get out, which even Sam and Levi are this is not why we started this. It was just about getting the gun. We didn't turn it. And it's even Josh, and Eve's looking really? I'm you suck right now, Josh. And I love that Riley, it's because I was about to say, Riley's defending your mom. And even he's wait, weren't you pissed at my mom? I was yeah, she left my dad behind, sure. But the fact of the matter is, we've been through a lot in the past couple of days. It's clear that she's a good mom, and you're stupid if you can't see that. We're talking about the mother that risked life and a limb to get you what you needed after you were attacked by that wolf. You ungrateful bastard is what I would say. Once again, nothing against the actor, just talking about and then invested in the story of just man, Josh, you suck right now. I get it. For I'm not saying I'm not saying it's justified, but I'm sure what this it runs deeper than just, it's not him being pissed at Eve. It's because one, it's because the person that was because their mom put all their faith in their dad and in Gavin, and I think for him it's you trusted him. He's not been the same for the past 3 years. You wanted me to put my faith in that guy, and he let us down again. In the time we needed him the most, he wasn't here for us. He was supposed to come and save us, so it's he's doubly screwed, because it's you weren't there for us when we needed you, but also you weren't here to save us, even though you made a promise. We lost our only attempt to leave, but it's also the point, the fact is that Eve is willing to do whatever it takes. It's if she thought this was a way for you to get out of here, she would have taken it in an instant. She would have done anything to make sure you get out of here. So that's where it's kind of if she was kind of that against it, it should have been yeah, I should probably listen to my mom. But also it's just right, my mom doesn't know everything under these circumstances. Yeah, but she's still a mom. She's going to do whatever she can. So things went sideways. It's no one's fault. To be fair, Diane popped off. To be fair, Mary Beth shouldn't pull the gun like she did, but there was no other way to, Levi and Diana weren't going to stop and Mary Beth wasn't trying to do stuff. It's Diana, fired first. It's not Mary Beth, unloaded on her or something like that. It's no, it was one shot, Sadly, that's all it took. But I'm just man. And it's the worst timing, too, because a storm is coming, so it's cool. This is going to be just everything that could go wrong goes wrong. And obviously Mary Beth confronts Lucas, because he was just because she's fine, you don't want a relationship with me. Everything I've ever done in life is to protect you. So it's man, both of them are having children issues with their children not looking out for them. Both their children throwing them under the bus for. Technically, I think you can really break it down. They're both getting pissed at their moms for dad reasons. Lucas with, Mary Beth, at the time we didn't know the full story, but like Mary Beth had killed his dad. Lucas, for Josh, it's like, you believed in my dad, so that's why you're kind of getting scrutinized now. But even Levi's like, yeah, I am pissed at you, Eve, but you don't have to go out there. Because regardless of everything, it's also because he's still in love with you. So, like, he has a little bit of a biased opinion. But even Sam's like, I don't know. But Eve's like, at the very least, I'm going to go just so like people can calm down, like, But it's also like, she feel like she deserves this because she's the one that jumps out. Like, regardless of Mary Beth's involvement, it's like, no, this is on me. I didn't want things to go that way, but I'm the one that instigated this. Like, it's like, maybe people will realize soon enough that everything we did was for their sake. We were trying to save them because they all would have died. So there's that element to it. But the storm hits and Mary Beth and Lucas get trapped. So, but it's like, regardless of like, oh, she's like, I'm done with you. And then the moment her son's in danger, it's like those mom instincts kick in, because regardless, it's like, you are my son. And just like Eve, when it comes to Josh, she does whatever it takes to protect her child as well. And we finally get the truth about what, I guess there was enough leeway so it wasn't that big of an issue. Because I was about to say, I'm sure that lighter's not a good idea, because like, isn't that eating up more, like, that, the fire, the flames from that, like, that's eating up more of the oxygen, isn't it? Like, that's why you typically wouldn't want, like, a fire under those circumstances, I think. Once again, I could be talking from ignorance, but I think, like, yeah, like, but I think it was, like, they weren't trapped, like, airtight trapped, because obviously they were able to break open enough so that, like, air could get through anyway, so it's not like they were going to suffocate anyway, so I guess that's a justification, like, why you keep the, like, lighter lit the entire time, but, what's interesting, too, is, like, obviously she's there for him in the moment of just, like, yeah, he's having a panic, like, well, not a panic attack, because somewhat, because he's claustrophobic. She's like, you've never liked tight spaces, you never even liked elevators, which I get uncomfortable in elevators, too. I think it's, like, my thing about heights, and just, like, also just the thought of, like, man, this could snap at any point in time, and I could end up falling to my death. Once again, not really a fear of heights, it's more of a fear of falling to your death type of thing. I always forget where I got that reference from. Like, it's a reference from something. I can never remember what it was. So that's not my personal philosophy. It was just like, I watched something that had that perspective, and that's always kind of stuck with me when it comes to, like, a fear of heights. But regardless, when it comes to the fear of heights, I mean, but she was able to help Lucas calm down and ended up telling him the truth about the dad. So also we found out, like, oh, that's why he was able to kind of do the drug dealing stuff. It's because her dad Lucas's dad, her husband, Mary Beth's husband, was a dirty cop. It's like, I get it. He was a good person. He could be charming. He could be funny, but it was all a lie, because the moment IA found out about him skimming some drugs, it's like, what did he do? He cut a deal and was going to sell you up the river. It's like, yeah. No! And he's like, what? No, Dad wouldn't do that. He was. That the day I shot him was the day he was going to, like, go, like, testify and just, like, solidify it. I begged him not to do it, that what it would do to you, that you wouldn't survive in prison, and he did it anyway because he was trying to save his own ass. It's like, yo, your dad got you mixed up in this, and he was going to sell you out. He's like, why should I believe you? She's like, look at where we are. Like, we could potentially die here. Like, why would I lie to you now? It's like, why didn't you ever tell me anything before now? It's like, when you haven't listened to me since you were 15. But also, like, I knew if you ever learned this, it'd break your heart. And she's like, I know, because it broke mine. Like, it's like, wow. That definitely puts things in perspective for you. Like, damn, dude, that's like, yeah, that's what, because also that's why he's so adamant about continuing the drug thing, because it's like, yeah, it's like, no, I'm doing this for Dad to some extent, because I'm doing this for Dad's sake. Dad got me mixed up in this business, but also he doesn't need the drugs anymore anyway, because, I mean, Scott doesn't even know where they're buried, but also it's like, they got what, 19th century gold, so it's like, yeah, you kind of don't need that anymore, but still, which that ends up being a point that Scott's making too, like, right, if this came here from if this is like 1836 gold, American gold in particular, it's like, I think that's what he was saying, that's what American gold, regardless, it's like, that means there had to be other portals. So once again, this goes deep. So it's kind of what I thought, what it was kind of implying, like people from 1836 landed here, There was a portal in it. So once again, that's why I was thinking like last episode, like a reference I made was like Croatoa. Like, what if like that mass disappearance was related to this? Like a lot of historical disappearances. I mean, I didn't even bring it up, but like the Bermuda Triangle situation might have been a portal. Amelia Earhart, this is where you get like science fictional conspiracy theory, like for the nature of like, because they are implying like there's been portals that have popped up. This green light has popped up all over the place, especially with the person ties with this episode. She's someone from the village who reached out, found him and actually helped him, which we also don't know where Veronica is. So obviously she never went back, at least not from what we saw. So either she's just out there on her own, or maybe she did sneak back in. Hopefully she bunkered down for the storm. It's kind of sucks that like she not just tied him up and left him like that. That sucks. But he ends up learning from what's her name, like Pa, I think it was something like that. I'm probably butchering it. Me and names, I'm not always that good at names, but she ended up informing him like, yeah, people from the sky from your world have been coming here since because they've been here forever. So that's why I'm like, however, like they have to, like they say that, but they can't have been here forever because they speak English. So it has to be a situation, once again, they have to be descendants of some people who landed here. Like we might be dealing with them like we know at least people from at least the 1800s landed here, but for them to speak English the way they do, it has to be a thing of, it had to be passed down from generation to generation. There had to be quite a few generations here at the very least. So maybe like, because at the very least that puts it maybe like at least a little less than 200 years worth of generations. Probably more like 80-ish years of generations, 90-ish years of generations, like in that time frame maybe, because like they say like they've been here forever, but it's like once again it could just be some timey-wimey stuff of like, but it seems like I was about to say I think time isn't on a different axis here. I think it's kind of a one for present day potentially. Obviously it's been 3 years. That's why, because Diane knew that she had been here for like basically 3 years. They were able to keep track, so it definitely solidifies. It's not like a timey-wimey thing. So they had to be like some early settlers, like in America potentially landing here. Hence why they do speak English. Side note. That actor who plays Ty, I just thought I should figure I'd throw this out there too now since I'm talking about it. Like, isn't that the actor who plays like Arthur in Call of Duty Vanguard? I'm not a Call of Duty dude. I've just been watching someone play like a little bit, and I was like, isn't that Ty from La Brea? And I think so. I don't know. I always have to look into that actor's like filmography. I feel like I might have seen some stuff he's been in before, but this might be the first thing I've ever seen him in. I don't know. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see. If there ends up being if he is somewhat familiar or not. I kind of spaced there for a second. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him from Call of Duty Vanguard. Like I said, I'm not a Call of Duty. I'm not a I don't play hardly any FPSs. So, but regardless, went on that tangent, right? But. It's like, right, do you know if the green light will come back? It's like, we never know when the green light is going to pop up or disappear. It's like, yeah, like, that's why I'm curious, like, once again, we have to go back. At least of the 5 incidents that the government's aware of, I'm so curious to find out the time frame, because we know between 4 to 5 was 3 years, but, once again, I brought this up before, like, has it been getting exponentially shorter and shorter, the time frame in between them popping up? Once again, was the previous one, like, from 3 to 4 was that 7 years, and then 2 to 3 was that 45 years, and 1 to, you get what I'm trying to say? So, I don't know. That's definitely going to be interesting to find out, but, because it seems like not everyone that's come through the portal has been so cool. Because, like, obviously it's like, right, Lily saw Silas, and she's like, no, Silas wouldn't do that. It's like, well, we know at least 2 people that died the same way, Eddie and Jonathan. Like, how that happened. Once again, I don't see them having, because like, you know, the way Sam described it's like they were electrocuted. So I'm like, I don't see, not unless they, like, what would they have that would allow them to do that? That's why I'm like, it has to be like a creature or something, right? I don't know. Because maybe Silas just like, he was keeping an eye on them, so like he just happened to cross the body around the time like Lily tripped over it. He was in the area keeping an eye on them anyway. So maybe that's just why, or maybe he did have something to do with it. Regardless, when the storm does eventually pass, which we'll get to in a second, well, it all ties in, but, well, Ty goes off after, like, you know, but she offers, like, no, I'll point you in the right direction. I'm like, hey, there's something there. Because I think it's interesting, because they formed a bond, and I think that budding connection there is going to be what bridges the gap between them. Kind of like Lexa and Clark a little bit from the 100. Once again, I've referenced the 100 in a very similar, I mean, obviously you can see direct parallels in regard, especially them calling them sky people. I think it's interesting. I mean, like, what else would you call them? They literally did fall from the sky in both cases of the 100 and this. But Lexa and Clark kind of bridged that gap between the Grounders and the Sky Crew. Like, they helped, like, forge that. Regardless, but the fact is that she talked about the fact is that Ty looked at this, because she's like, yeah, this home, you were able to see our home as something more than just a danger set for this. Because for him, it's like, he didn't have much to live for, but this place surviving here, it gave him, something changed inside of him, and it made it that he wanted to live now. So he's grateful to this place doing that. At first he was like, yeah, it's like, he never, like, at first I was like, who's your ex? I was like, your ex isn't, I was like, for a second I was like, it wouldn't be Aldrich. And I was like, no, it can't be. Can it? I was like, well, the only person that saw that photo was Eve. No one else ever saw, well, the only people who saw the photo were Diane and Eve. Like, they're the only people Levi showed the photo to. I think. Yeah, I don't think anyone else has seen the photo. So I'm like, could that be what they're doing? I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know. Probably not. It's probably just part of his backstory. We'll probably never get to meet his ex-wife. I don't know. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens when we pick up with Ty. Obviously, Riley and Josh got stuck in the truck. And luckily, it was a wardrobe truck from like a movie set or something like that. Or, you know. So now they have more clothes they can bring back, especially with the big weather changes that are coming. But obviously Riley and Josh, I love that he was just kind of like, they're going in, and she's like, wait, do you hear that? He's like, no, I don't hear anything. She's like, yeah, exactly. Let's get out of here. It's like, yep. Oh, we were about to have a moment. No, it wasn't about to have a moment. We had a moment. We were about to do some making out. And, yeah, that got cut short. Cool. It's like, you poor bastard. But back at camp, they were luckily able to save Mary Beth and Lucas because Sam made an IED out of the defibrillator, and it's like, yeah, could have gone sideways, but luckily it all worked out in the end, so that's awesome. But by the time Josh came back, he had changed his mind. He's like, right, you have every right to be pissed at me, Mom. I'm sorry. She's like, yeah, but I still should go. He's like, no. And like, obviously, everyone changed their mind. Like, oh, Mary Beth had to hand over her gun, but everyone's perspective of like, yeah, you can stay. So, I mean, considering what you just went through, fine. All Eve did, like, right? You are just trying to do the best. So, I'm sure there's still going to be some resentment. But hey, I'm glad it ended better than it could have, because it's like, but it's still going to be a thing of like, you mother effers were willing to send us out there on our own. And I'll remember that. I was like, well, it was pretty much everyone voting on it, so it's a little different, but still, it's not like you can pinpoint being like, oh, like, it's like, well, it was pretty much everyone. You know who wasn't so quick to throw you out, so that counts. But to be fair, both of their sons were willing to throw them out, but it's like, oh, you've changed your mind, so all right, if we can forgive you guys, to be fair, your family, so like, of course, you're going to be a little biased towards them, but it's like, oh, remember all you SOBs who wanted to kick us out. But so that things worked out on that front. So back in the present day, Gavin has to sign an NDA, which is like, oh, you're not allowed to mention this. Like, once again, you put so many lives in danger doing what you're doing. You better be glad. The government just wants this kept quiet. They don't want any mentions of this portal, any of what's going on. So just shut your mouth about it. So, and we're going to let you go. And so he had to sign the NDA, which Izzy's like, okay, so what do we do next? It's like one step at a time. But he wants Izzy just to like go back to a regular life, which she's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, go back to school. She's like, no, I'm not going to school. He's like, you need some form of normalcy. She's like, yeah, sure. I'm sure out of anyone, the last person she wants to hear that from is Gavin, considering everything. It's like, because I'm sure it will stick, it stays with her, because it's like, right, I'd rather, like, I know it was me in particular telling you to come back down before they shoot you down. I'm sure that in particular really, I'm sure there's some part of her that probably like feels a little bad, because it's like, damn, like I did want you to come down because I didn't want you to get shot down. I didn't want to take the chance I'd lose you, but you know, hopefully we will be able to find another way. But he's keeping that from her right now just because he doesn't want to get our hopes up considering everything. So Sophia is willing to help because obviously she's still got, you know, well, to her knowledge, she still has Diana down there. So it's like, right, I'm gonna help. And so the date that Aldridge gave him last episode, it's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's around the time I got adopted. I was like, wait. I'm like, are you telling me? I was like, wait, are you from that world? I'm like, is that what is it? I didn't even cross my mind to think that's why you're getting these visions. It's like, you're from this world. I mean, we've seen that they speak English, so it's like, it's most likely a green light appeared like 30 odd years ago or something like that, and then you just like fell into this world, and it's like you didn't know your name, you just kind of looked lost. It's like, yeah, because they ended up looking into his adoption records, and his adoption records. And she's, you know, it's like, right, they don't have to worry about it because it's like, yeah, we signed an NDA about like the green light and the sinkhole and stuff like that. This is just you helping out a buddy look into his past and stuff like that. So it's not going to raise any alarms. But went to the church that had found him, and it turns out there was a girl with him, and they end up tracking that girl down later on, and she has a statue of like the hand. She made an art statue of the hand. So I'm like, so maybe she's having the visions as well. But now I'm like, okay, so maybe that's why Gavin is having why he in particular has been having these visions. That's why I'm also like, what is Aldridge like? Because at first I was thinking she was having the visions too, but if she was, like, why wouldn't she say anything? Because at first I was like, you don't think Aldridge is his sister or something like that? Because he doesn't, because Gavin admitted, like, he was pretty young at the time, so he doesn't remember much before getting adopted. But I'm assuming because he has a special connection to that portal, he's already gone through once coming to this world, so that when he was in the vicinity of one with the whole Mojave thing 3 years ago, it triggered something in him because it connected, like, because I guess there's some, maybe the residual temporal energy stuck to him. So maybe, like, even if everyone comes out of that portal on the, like, and then come out to this world, they'll still be connected to that green light because, like, the temporal energy, like, clung to them. So maybe that's what it is, like, the temporal energy from the green light with this one. Well, because what I think is interesting, and I think maybe this speaks volumes, is like he's having visions. Well, his visions have always been of stuff that's already happened. It's not like, it's, once again, it's not the one for one of like, oh, or maybe it's just because of the way the episode is edited, it doesn't seem like, but maybe he's getting the visions no, like, I don't know, like, because once again, time does seem like it is a one for one. I don't know. I keep like flip-flopping on that, but, well, because he got the visions of Diana, which was heartbreaking for Sophia, because it's like, right, your main motivation for being involved in this is going, like, knowing that your fiance is going, like, both. And that was also the thing too, Levi kind of rubbed salt on the wound when he was like, Diana, you just wanted to get home to the person you loved, rest in peace. I'm like, yeah, it's just like you stuck the knife in and you twisted it with that. It's like, you didn't have to, I get it, Levi, but you weren't trying to do that. But I'm like, it could come off looking like, you know, so I just thought that was interesting. But regardless, like, yeah, your main reason for doing this, but it's like, regardless, it's like, no, Sophia isn't going to back down, because if it wasn't for, she's like, Diana wouldn't give up, so I'm not going to give up either. Obviously, Gavin didn't get a clear picture of what went down, so, yeah, probably better that she doesn't know how Diana died. She'll eventually find out, but still. That's going to be complicated to explain, especially because, like, right, your wife had a part to play in her fiance's death. Once again, it was an accident, and it's not like Eve had the gun, it was Mary Beth, but she was still a part of the reason why things went sideways. So, but, yeah, I'm assuming the girl that was with Gavin is his sister. So, maybe she has a clearer, because she was older at the time. She was, like, the way they made it, it's like, oh yeah, she was like 12 at the time, so she was older, so she might have a more clearer memory of her world, of their world, than Gavin does. But I'm pretty sure that's what they're kind of setting up there. So, once again, Aldridge, we have no idea where she landed when she went through the light, because she definitely hasn't made it to their group yet. But I think the next episode, for what I was seeing, I think it's called Truth. So I think they're about to get some explanations about some stuff. Or maybe, well, it's more so about Gavin learning the truth, most likely. But maybe Aldridge will show up and tell them about, like, yeah, it's actually a good thing you didn't get on that plane because, like, yeah, you all would have died. I saw the wreckage myself. We checked, like, we saw, like, the signatures for all your bodies underneath this clearing because we were here present day. And, yeah, all your bodies were here. So it would have been really, 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 really bad. So, but regardless, I'm excited to see where the next episode ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.